Alright guys, so I couldn't wait. I had to sharpen this because I already told the owner I was going to make a video, so that means I want to carry it a little bit. But I think to myself, man, I can't wait till another Norseman comes in. I was like, there hasn't been one on the channel. I was like, I can't wait till I get another Norseman in. And then I remember how much I hate sharpening these things. They are kind of a pain. They have this recurve area, and then it basically is a modified tanto. As you can see, I got it done. It's been sharpened. I did it freehand. I don't use a sharpening system. Let's see here. So it's this is just a receipt. That's pretty sharp. So these have an awkward look to them, but they actually work really well. They cut really well. They have that nice little recurve area there, and then that little bit of belly up front. Have not yet had a chance to own a Norseman. And there's some things that I have, there's some things about it that I thought I loved and do love. I do love these knives. You've heard me say that these are the gold standard, that I have put them, it's the gold standard of folding knives. But there's things about it that I've noticed that I don't like as much. The incredible smoothness you get with a Grimsmo Norseman, let me get it past, can also be a danger. This does not have what's called a retard ramp. Once you clear that detent, it just falls. That's what I call it, a retard ramp. And the other thing is, the lock interface on it is so light, because it was so well engineered, it's kind of easy to accidentally disengage the lock. I have done it a couple times just in playing with it. I am going to take this apart and clean it up, I believe. I'm going to talk to the owner and find out if that's what he wants, because I got a bunch of gunk down in it. Yeah, but you can see that recurve. Now, the thing about Grimsmo knives is John Grimsmo was not a knife maker who decided to get a CNC machine and start doing knives on a CNC machine. Exactly the opposite. John Grimsmo was a CNC machinist and just wasn't sure what he was going to make money with his machine. And so what he did was he started making knives, and he designed knives. So when you look at this, one of the things about it is this knife was not ground. It was never on a grinder except when Eric put the edge on it. Eric does do the edge on a belt grinder. These knives, those are all milling lines. That's all milling lines from a CNC machine. And I believe I'm going to try and go inside, because the light outside here is really horrible. It's bright and I can't see what I'm doing. So we're going to pause. But there's a lot to be said for the reason that they gained so much popularity was just what he was doing. He had a YouTube channel. He had the Tormac Tuesday, because he had a Tormac machine and they sponsored him and things like that. But we're going to adjourn to my living room because it's just too bright out here. It's hurting my eyes. So back to what I was saying was, and if you give me just a second to change this a little bit. That'll be a little bit better. One of the things about their knives that everyone found so cool were the fact that the blades, like I said, were milled on a CNC machine as opposed to being ground. And this was the design that kind of stuck in his head. This is the design he liked, and like I said, I love it. I love the design. It is kind of a pain to sharpen. I imagine that this is one of those knives that would be easier on an Edge Pro or Wicked Edge. Imagine on a Wicked Edge it'd be a good bit easier. As a matter of fact, that for a while, that's how Eric was sharpening it. So those of you who don't know, Grimsmo brothers, Eric and John Grimsmo, they're up in Canada. They started making some knives, and they started putting it on YouTube, and I got an amazing following. And like I said, I touted it up and held them up as the gold standard of folding knives, and I still do. Their knives are still the best, well-designed, you know, every one of them is going to be exactly the same, because they do it in a fashion. I've been cutting some stuff now. I'm going to have to polish up the edge on this a little bit. Can you see it? They hold their knives to a standard because they're machinists, and they have a Moriseki mill now and stuff like that. And so their knives come out amazingly tight tolerances. As a matter of fact, when that knife is open, you can barely see in there where the bearings are. And you get some amazing action on a Grimsmo Norseman. It just drops. It just falls. And then when you look, that's exactly perfect where they milled those pieces to match. The problem, though, that I see, and I mentioned this with a couple other people, they take so long. This is number 433. These knives are all done in RWL 30 or RWL 34 steel, and they're all individually marked with the number, 433. Problem is, I've heard people say it. A friend of mine and customer, a guy that's coming out, the Pip Corona, he's coming out this weekend. He stated that he had ordered a Rask, and it has taken so long that he almost isn't interested in even having it anymore. He's probably just going to sell it because it's been so long. Their wait times are absurd and obscene, and that's one of the things that I think is going to be a problem for them. The Grimsmo brothers do make amazing knives, and the problems that I see is they make 2 knives, and they make pretty much 1 scale pattern, and they do stuff in Damasteel, and they do stuff in Timascus and things like that, and it's pretty customizable. But long lead times, limited offerings. I hate to say it, but I'm afraid that the Grimsmo brothers may put themselves out of the market if they don't find a way to keep up with demand and, keep up with demand and be innovative and creative. I know you guys probably get tired of hearing me talk about Ferrum Forge Knife Works and Chris and Elliot. Well, Elliot Williamson and his brother Chris. Elliot is the CEO of the company. It just somehow it always seems more natural to say Chris and Elliot, when actually Elliot built the company, brought Chris on. Chris is a significant part of the company, but Elliot is the company. Elliot is the designing force. Elliot does the design work and things like that. And Elliot built the company. So Elliot Williamson and Chris Williamson over at Ferrum Forge, you hear me talk about them all the time. You guys might get tired of it. But the reason I can talk about them so much is the fact that they do so much. They have made so many different runs of knives. They don't stagnate and they don't stay the same. They come up with different things. And even in one run, go and look at their pre-order page right now. I couldn't even think of how many different options there are available. And that's one of the things that they do, and they do better than they do better than anyone in the business. And I like the Grimsmo brothers, and I would like to see them start to do some of those things that I see the Williamson brothers do. Hang on a second, I just had a doorbell ring. This video is going to be some discombobulated. So anyway, like I was saying, I would love to see the Grimsmo brothers come up with some different options and multiple scale patterns on a run of knives, and throw some options out there. But the way it stands right now, they make this one in the Rask, and it's really hard. I want a Norseman so badly. But the fact is, I would have to invest that money into a knife that, basically I'm going to have to wait a year or more for. And they're not custom knives, guys. They're still mid-tech style, production style knives. Yeah, I guess they would fall into that custom. They make them all in-house. That's one of the things that is intriguing, and that's one of the things that is gonna be hard for them. Every piece of this knife was done in-house. I mean, yeah, they get stuff done on water jet and stuff like that, but I don't even know anymore. I think that maybe they've gone back to cutting them out all the way on the mill now that they got the Moriseki, because they're not putting up as many videos as they had been. That's what built them up, and that's what they're not doing now, is doing as much of the YouTube that they had been. So now back to the knife. Like I said, the knife is incredible. Super thin profile. I forgot how thin these things were. It does have a sculpted pocket clip, but their sculpted pocket clips are done really well. It does have the Norseman logo engraved in the pocket clip, and even to the point where Chris and Eric have engraved the Norseman logo in the pivot. Has a thumb stud on one side, and then it has this unique lock bar cut out here with the spring relief, or the spring cutout here. Now, some of the reason, and I've discussed this before, but not in a video, some of the reason you get such an incredibly smooth action on a Norseman is the detent. Now, the detent on it is not that severely strong detent that it should fly open like that. And it's not a rolling detent or anything special that should allow that kind of smoothness. What you have is, it's a flat detent. So a flat detent is going to interface a little bit differently with that steel. Ceramic on RWL 34. RWL 34, I'm not sure what an analog for that is, but RWL 34 is one of the steels that's in Damasteel. It is the stainless part that stays shiny when you etch it. Like I said, they do have a couple other scale patterns, but this is their standard scale pattern. It's the honeycomb. They had been doing a reverse honeycomb, but the problem is, because they do all of that on a CNC mill in-house, it's time consuming, and so these knives are not cheap. Now, their anodizing is okay. It's not, I mean, like I said, I'm used to hanging out at Farron Forge. Chris is the best that I've seen in the business for anodizing, and I take that, I want you guys to take that and understand that right behind him, I would say probably would be, you know, as far as what I've learned about anodizing, would be John Grimsmo, because he did a lot of videos about anodizing on YouTube. But Chris kind of took it to a whole nother fucking level. The other problems with this is it's so thin that it's almost too thin. I love these knives, but then you run into, it is not uncomfortable. It just does not feel as substantial. Like I said, the lock, it's so easy to bump. I mean, that lock will just disengage at the drop, and I've already dropped it on my thumb once, because even with all the grit and gunk, let's put it this way, it falls open, it falls closed. That's a little bit dangerous with something as sharp as what this is right now, which is a lot like a laser. RWL 34 does take a very, very keen edge, and from what I've seen, it holds it pretty well. So yeah, the Grimsmo Norseman. Now, I am going to probably turn this around and take it apart, because it's pretty gunky and nasty inside. So stand by for that. All right, guys, I actually did take that knife apart and clean it up, but I did it in a separate video because it wound up being about 10 minutes on its own. I didn't figure that that was fair for you guys, so I am sitting on the couch with my cat. Actually, I'm on the love seat in my bedroom with the cat. The dog does not like when I play with the cat. So if I come in the bedroom, the cat and I can spend some time on the couch, and the dog won't bother us. We're all pretty lonely. Wife and kid are gone. So my wife Yuka, my daughter Isabel, miss you guys. If you guys are watching, I will talk to you guys again a little bit later. All right, bye.